person can disappear.
What?
Jeez. We're getting cryptic here, Monica. We're live, by the way. Monica's looking to disappear people again. Shit. I hope she wasn't talking about me. I wasn't privy to that part of the conversation. What's going on, inmates? Boom. Hellraiser necktie.
Oh, I need my mic here.
I need to head to the room.
Oh, you guys ready for some Turbo Kid? We gotta kill this thing. Let's see what other social media outlets we can get kicked off of.
So that means we're gonna play Turbo Lover by Judas Priest.
Okay. Turbo Lover.
Turbo Lover.
Turbo Kid. You guys seen Turbo Kid? Good. Well, we'll get into that. Somebody didn't like it. Somebody doesn't like anything.
Whatever. I like a lot of things. A lot of good things.
Oh, Brianna's on.
Already
Brianna.
hey, Breezy. Already
hi.
besmirching the good name of Turbo Kid.
Is that? I think that's your volume.
Buddy's back. Look at the beard on this guy all of a sudden, huh?
Ho ho ho!
Whoa!
Yeah.
Whoa!
I'll be ready to play Santa by Christmas.
Is that a good thing?
Yo ho ho!
I mean, you know, whatever.
That's-
Whatever you're into there, mister. Alrighty. I don't need that. I need this.
Does that mean you only want adult children to sit on your lap?
Yes.
Not 100% sure what that means.
You've been a naughty girl. Monica.
Oh, boy. I get these two out to the desert. I get some peyote in them. It's going down. I can't, you know, nothing I can do about it. Might as well just get in the bushes and enjoy the show. I think that's the best thing for me to do while you two are doing what you do. I just don't know that I want to. I mean, I'm going to have to do the peyote also. I don't know that I'm not going to convince myself I'm a werewolf. That's so. When you guys are done, please track me down and, you know, restrain me. You probably have to restrain me. Get some pool noodles.
Pool noodles.
Probably gonna have to put one in my mouth because I might bite you. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
I might actually go that route. I don't know what I'm capable of when I'm on paper.
Yeah, well,
He thinks he's a werewolf. Take the condom off. We're done. Alrighty, kids. Let's talk a little Turbo Kid here, shall we? Thank you for joining us, by the way.
yeah.
Whoever's on. We
out there.
got, 4 people with us so far? Mm-hmm. Whoever you are, thank you for joining us. We're going to talk a little Turbo Kid here in Horror Comedy Month in the Padded Room. Hope you guys saw it. Hope you enjoyed it as much as we did. I did, I should say. That's right, inmates. We're talking a little Turbo Kid from 2015. This one got 6.7 stars. Is directed by Francois Senard, written by Anouk Wissel, Frenchman, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Frenchies.
Yes.
Stars Monroe Chambers, Lawrence LeBoeuf, and Michael Ironside. This is a joint production between New Zealand and Canada.
I wonder if it's related to Shy.
That's what I was wondering.
No.
No, because she spells her last name with a E. Lebouef.
Oh, okay.
Shia LaBeouf, I think, is a Bouf.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He is a BF.
He's a boyfriend?
Boyfriend?
I don't know what BF stands.
Butt fuck.
There you go. That
Yes.
works.
He is
Boyfriend, best friend.
a certified butt fuck.
Yeah. That's why he's not making any movies.
He's crazy. He lost his damn mind. You know? I don't know what his problem is. I don't think he was that good, really. Yeah, I mean, his whole thing was Transformers, right?
That's about it.
Shia LaBeouf inmates, what do you think? Good? What's a good Shia LaBeouf movie other than Transformers? It wasn't bad in Constantine, although he was only in it for like 8 minutes.
Wait, what was that movie he was in with Tom Hardy, like set in the 1920s?
No idea.
Oh, somebody must know.
I don't know. I'm not a big Shia LaBeouf guy.
Oh, okay. It'll come to me.
Disturbia. Disturbia was not bad.
Yeah.
That was not bad either, now that I think about it. All right. So this movie is like classic 80s, like nostalgia. The vibe of it, the music, the graphics, like all. It's post-apocalyptic too. Takes place in the distant and nihilistic future of 1997,
Yes.
where the whole world has gone to shit. Monica, it's gone to shit.
Yeah, I was like 1997. That's when I got my first pickup.
I was in the Marine Corps. That was the year I went in the Marine Corps, 1997.
Oh.
So there, there's that. What were you doing in '97?
Working at a laptop company.
Okay.
Were you having babies then?
No.
In the 90s? No.
No, it was good. Probably better that way. Anyway, so we got like this apocalyptic future. Everything sucks. It's gray, dirt everywhere. You know, it looks like Mad Max, pretty much.
Yeah.
We meet our protagonist, a kid, and I don't think we ever got his name other than Kid. Right?
Yeah,
He's a
it was
kid.
just kid.
I'm gonna put him probably. I would say probably like 22. I think he's supposed to be playing like a 17, 18-year-old.
Oh, okay.
Type of a guy, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. He's got himself. Everything's bicycles now. No more cars. So he's got himself a bicycle, and he's got himself this pretty kick-ass little underground bunker living room arranged like a bedroom apartment situation. But basically, all this dude does is he drives around all day. He scavenges, and then he takes the cool shit that he finds, and he takes it back to his underground bunker and hangs out with it. And this underground bunker is dope, dude. It's got like he's got like comic books. If I was an 18-year-old kid and I found myself an underground bunker, I wouldn't need the apocalypse. I would just go in there, and that would be rent free, right? I assume. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what you pay for an underground bunker rent wise these days. Maybe somebody could Zillow that, or do like a rental finder. But he's got like the BMX posters, and he's got some action figures, and like the shit that he brings back is like tools and slightly used gum, which you chew it for a minute or two, it gets its flavor back. So he uses that to hang his posters up. He's got the standard BMX style like armor, like safety equipment. And that's pretty dope. He finds a hammer and he makes like a hammer boomerang out of it.
Yeah.
I would love to throw that at somebody's face.
Right.
I don't. It probably wouldn't.
Why'd you look at me?
I'm not going to throw it at Monica's face. Obviously, I got to throw it at somebody's face, buddy. Who else am I going to throw it at? I don't know. What else? Viewmaster. You remember the old school Viewmasters you had when you were a kid?
Oh, yes.
Oh,
Little
yeah.
and you get like little 3D cartridge things.
I had an ET one.
Yeah, totally.
Oh.
So, it's just that once he gets down into his bunker, he's got a trap set up outside the bunker, and it springs. And he goes out there, and what you got is like a mutated, radiated rat-looking thing. It's bald, it's hairless, and it's like a little puppet. It's like, he's like, takes it out of the cage that he trapped it in, and it scratches his face. So he's like, fuck this thing, and he starts smashing it with his hammer boomerang thing. Fuck that thing. It was a radiated rat, Monica.
Oh, my God.
It's got probably riddled with cancer, tumors. You know what I'm saying? It's some kind of a mutation situation. So he's like, all right, I got this dead rat. From there, he takes that to like this weird town center kind of industrial complex.
Like a swap meet.
Like a swap meet type of a deal. Now, here's something that I miss about the post-apocalypse, or at least the 80s post-apocalypse. The abundance of sporting goods. Everybody's outfitted with like a full set of either hockey pads or football pads or like a helmet, like crotch codpiece protector setup.
Riding gear.
Riding gear. Where did all these sporting goods come from? And how did they survive the apocalypse but canned food didn't.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
See, you're looking way too much into the side.
Well, I'm just thinking about it because everybody's
It's
got
already eaten.
the can. Okay, I'll buy that. But then what you'd want to do is take the cans and make your armor out of that. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's got like an NFL helmet all of a sudden. I don't know. It's just an observation I had. Anyway, you got your standard riffraff, your post-apocalyptic riffraff. Look like the extras from Mad Max. A lot of weird gay stuff going on here too. A lot of dudes with painted fingernails. A lot of tight-fitting situations. We're gonna find out what the favorite pastime of this place is. It's toaster arm wrestling, which is not something that I would like to participate in. What you do is you get 2 toasters and then you heat up like a branding iron in the toaster. I don't know if would that even work? Probably not. But and then you and your buddy, you arm wrestle, and if you can force his hand down onto the branding iron, he loses, and he gets a gnarly scar in his hand. And I think there was money or something, or water, probably. Water is a big problem in this particular post-apocalypse. So the kid gets there to the swap meet. He's got his weird rat carcass thing, and he goes to his buddy, who's like the swap meet manager. He's like, hey, I got this carcass. Let's trade. And the guy's like, all right, great. And he gives him a bottle of water for it. But the water's all gross. It's like got
dirty water.
Floaties in it. I hate floaty. Nothing grosses me out more than when I pick up a glass of water and it's got weird little floating things in it. You know what I'm saying? That freaks me right out. I'm not drinking that.
I dump it out.
The worst is when I don't see the floaties until I took a pull or 2 off of it. Then I'm like, oh, get out of here. Get out of here with your floaties, dude. So that's nasty. But then the guy's like, oh, all right, kid, you know, I see you're disappointed by this. So he throws in a Turbo Rider comic book. Turbo Rider was like the superhero, I guess the superhero before the apocalypse. So, you know, kid's pretty excited about his new comic book. And you could tell he's kind of, outfitted himself to look like the Turbo Rider. So that's pretty cool. He's got like the red and yellow getup. It's pretty cool. So from there, he's like, I got my, sees the arm wrestling thing. We see the guy who's like the arm wrestling championship. He looks like the New Zealand version of the Marlboro Man, I'd say.
Yes.
He's got like the cowboy hat. What do you think? Is he hot?
No.
No? Why not?
No.
He's perfect for you. He's just your type. No, all right.
He looked too old for me.
Too old. He's probably younger than her. Anyway, he's got like the cigarette hanging out of his mouth, and he's like, the guy that he beats at arm wrestling tries to like pull a knife, but then he grabs him by the throat and he's like, we're still friends, aren't we, mate? And the guy's like, yeah, okay, don't choke me out. So, this guy seems like he's all right. As the kid's leaving, he accidentally bumps into this dude, and the guy gives him a weird speech about personal space bubbles. And you got a one arm's distance because that's my comfort zone. The kid's like, what? Just don't kick my ass, man. I don't know. And then as they're having that conversation, the guy's little crony rolls up, and he's like, oh, they got your brother. We got to go. So the Marlboro Man and the other guy go taking off, and the kid's like, well, that was fucking great. I just got out of getting my ass kicked, so rock and roll. He goes back to his bunker area, which has like a weird playground situation set up just outside of it.
Yeah.
And he sits down and he starts reading his comic book, and he's like, oh, yeah, Turbo Rider. And then out of nowhere, a suspiciously out of place and very clean. Now that I think about it, everybody in this movie was very clean for being the post-apocalypse, right?
Oh. I just noticed how wide her teeth were.
Her teeth were...
And blue her eyes were.
Her whole... She was like almost albino-esque in her whiteness. Very white. Random hot chick just shows up, probably about his age. And he sits down next to him. She's like, hey, what are you reading? And he's like, what the fuck? What? Who are you? Where did you come from? He's like, Turbo Rider comic book? She's like, oh my God, that is so exciting. And she's just super enthusiastic. And he's like, okay, what the... Now, he's got like his own little set of rules and bylaws and guidelines that have allowed him to survive thus far unscathed in the post-apocalypse. And he keeps them all written down in this weird crayon book, complete with maps and illustrations. And it's pretty cool. But I think like one of his rules was that you don't make friends and you don't rely on anybody, and you live a pretty solitary and morose life. And that's how you survive in this weird post-apocalypse. So he's like, I'm going to go ahead and get the fuck out of here. I wish you hadn't have seen me. And she's like, okay, I'm coming. So before he leaves, she slaps like one of those slap bracelets on him. And he's like, oh, okay. She's like, okay. She goes to tell her other friend that she's leaving with him. Other friend is a corpse. And looks like he's been a corpse for a while.
Yes.
Yeah.
So earlier in the show, we were discussing the smell of dead bodies. This guy's like 6 feet away, and he's got maggots and flies and all that shit. I don't know how the kid made it halfway through a comic book without noticing the dead guy right about here.
Well, air pollution, it must be stinky.
That's what it probably
yeah.
is. Yeah, it
Go with that.
wrecked his whole sense of smell. So there's that, Well, and hearing too, because I'm sure there was a cloud of flies connected to this thing, and maggots.
If there was any flies left.
There might not even be flies in the
Roaches.
post-apocalypse. There should be roaches. There would definitely be roaches in the
Yes.
post-apocalypse. Okay, anyway.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. So he just takes off, gets on his bike and hauls ass. The hot chick is just standing there going, where? I thought we were going. And then she's like, all right, well, whatever. He gets back to his bunker and hides the bike and gets down there thinking he has eluded her.
Which really annoyed me because I watched him get inside and not close his door.
He always closes the door.
This time he did not.
He was probably a bit off his game having... I could tell you right now, if a chick... When I was at that age...
You leave it open.
You got to leave it open. You never know. She might be horny. She might come down. There's a whole letter to Penthouse that can be written about
I'm
this.
gonna leave
yeah.
my window unlocked and raise it.
I'm
Because
just...
I would be going after the kid.
I know you would. And I would be going after the hot chick, if you understand what I'm saying. Ooh. Anyway, he starts fiddling with the slap bracelet, trying to get it off, and it just zaps him and knocks him unconscious. Now, every time this kid falls unconscious, we're going to get a little flashback sequence as to what happened, where his parents are and all that shit. And this particular one, all we see is him with his mom and dad. He's like, 6, 7 years old? And they seem pretty happy. It's still the post-apocalypse, but they seem like they're doing okay. From there, he wakes up, and he's still in his bunker, but now she has infiltrated into the underground bachelor pad. So he wakes up, he's like, hey, what are you doing here? And she's like, I made you breakfast, here's some cereal. And he's like, what are you doing? And she's like, whoa, you got so much cool stuff. And she just starts fiddling with all of his stuff. And he's like, stop touching everything. She's like, oh God, I'm so sorry. He's like, how do I get this bracelet off? And she's like, you just don't. It's there. That's where it's going to be from now on.
Yeah.
So they kind of strike up this uneasy relationship. And I'm going to glaze through a lot of this because it's kind of 80s-esque rom-com type of post-apocalyptic stuff.
Him giving the bubble speech was pretty funny, though.
Yeah, you got to stay outside of my bubble because...
whatever.
Yeah, it's really kind of weird that you're this close to me. So that's pretty weird. But she's just attached to this kid at the hip now. She introduces herself. Her name is Apple. I was thinking she was going to be either a cannibal or a vampire or possibly a zombie, just because she was like bone white. And she had like crazy blue eyes, right? Like very blue. So,
blue,
yeah, like startlingly blue. Well, we'll get into that in a minute. She's not a vampire or a cannibal, but she is very enthusiastic. And to be honest with you, I don't know how much of Apple I could take. I mean,
Right.
if I was a lonely young man, I would be down for whatever. But at this point in my life, I'd be like, look, sweetie, you can hang, but just go stand in the corner and face the wall, and I will tell you when you can engage me again, okay? I'm sorry. I don't mean to be a dick, but you're coming on a little strong right now. So he's like, okay, well, I guess we're friends then, whatever. I'm going to go scavenging. You just fucking, I guess, hang here, but don't touch anything. So she's like, oh, can I come too? He's like, yeah, Tom Hardy's in the house.
Hi, Tom Hardy.
Mr. Hardy, we will exchange meth recipes at a later time. Not in a public forum. Anyway, she's like, oh, can I come too? And he's like, no, I don't have a bike for you. But then she looks down and sees he has the old school pegs that you put on the wheels. So now he's got to ride her around the post-apocalypse while they go scavenging.
Yeah.
So that's pretty exciting. He starts running her through the rules that he has survived by for so long. Rule number 1, you got to have a weapon. So she doesn't have one, so they go looking around trying to find her one. They find her a helmet, which very conveniently matches her blue pastel jumpsuit. And they build her a weapon, which is a shattered baseball bat with a garden gnome duct taped to it, or her gnome stick, as she calls it.
Yep.
And we get like another little montage of them playing tag, and they're basically falling in love here, right? So that's pretty cool. Unfortunately, this gets cut short when a particularly comedic kidnapping scene takes place in which a guy creeps up on her and throws a stupid net over her.
Yeah.
Like he's an old school butterfly catcher, like with a big net thing. And she's like, ah! And the kid, being the great big pussy that he is, just jumps on his bike and hauls ass out of there.
She told him to run.
Didn't even pretend to help. Just gone. No, I'd at least give like a, hey, don't do that.
Well, he kind of reminded me either of that he came out of a Bruce Lee movie or somebody from Mortal Kombat.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're
so-
talking about the guy with the kidnapper.
Yeah.
I was thinking Big Trouble in Little
Big
China.
Trouble in Little
Yeah.
China. That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
He looked like the electric guy.
Electric guy, yes.
Unfortunately, this guy doesn't have electricity though.
No,
He
no.
does have something else that's pretty cool. We'll get to that in a second. So the kid goes hauling ass. This guy, the kidnapper, just as Monica alluded to, looks like the dude from Big Trouble in Little China. He's got like the big teacup hat thing, and I don't know what his plan was, but he nets Apple and then goes hauling ass after the kid. So the kid takes off, and they have like a little chase situation. The kid like stumbles onto this whole movie looked like it was shot in one big rock quarry. He still like goes around this thing, jumps his bike, and he's like looking for a place to hide when suddenly a trap door opens up underneath him, and he falls into what I guess is an abandoned space shuttle or airplane of some sort.
Yeah.
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 A cockpit of some sort.
Some kind of a craft. Falls down there, and there he finds like a stash of equipment. And wouldn't you know it, it's the motherfucking Turbo Rider getup. Full armor, Turbo Rider armor, and he comes with a fucking Nintendo Power Glove
Yeah.
that you can shoot plasma blasts out of. So now this dude is ready for war. And there's like a weird like video message from Turbo Rider's commander, and he's like, there's total casualties. Just fucking do whatever you want to do, because the whole shit is lost.
A little Star Wars
Yeah.
thing. You're our only hope.
You're our only hope, Turbo Rider. But of course, Turbo Rider's dead body is in there, which I think, now that I think about it, was the same dead body that was behind the playground. I think they only had one dead body for this
Yeah,
movie.
and the one that was in the car.
And it's the same goddamn dead body. It's just one dead guy that they're parading around the whole post-apocalypse.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he's ready for war now. Comes out, now he's got his turbo shooter, and he's ready to fucking fight this guy. The other guy's there waiting for him, so they have like this weird standoff. The Chun-Li guy, this dude is pretty badass. Unfortunately, he doesn't last long, but he can shoot his fist off at you, and it's attached to a chain. So, like, his whole arm is a ninja weapon, pretty much. But Turbo Kid is ready. He gives him a power blast and explodes him all over the place. So now he's ready for war, and he's like, I'm going to go find Apple. Now we're going to cut to Apple. Apple has been abducted, and she's been taken to the lair of the big bad guy here, guy by the name of Zeus, played by Michael Ironside. Also, along with Apple, Frederick, the arm wrestling champion, has also been abducted because he went to save his brother from Zeus. His brother's dead, obviously, and got himself and his little gang of... He got his little gang killed and got himself taken by Zeus also. So now, Apple, Zeus, and a couple of random cronies are in this drained pool type of a situation, and they're going to be used in like a gladiatorial fighting pit, and they're gonna get killed for Zeus's entertainment.
Yeah.
So before that happens, though, Zeus gives a very arch-villain speech about how he is trying to rebuild civilization. He actually built himself some kind of a goddamn contraption that removes water from dead bodies, which is actually pretty ingenious. And that would probably be something that you want to hold on to if water is a problem. But I think you cannot be an asshole about it. You could probably just wait for people to die and then throw them into the fucking thing, right? No?
Well, how bad do you need water?
Well, I mean,
I'm really thirsty.
I'm pretty thirsty too. I don't particularly like Eric, so why don't we just... I don't think anybody likes Eric, right? Let's go ahead and put him in the... Oh, you like Eric? Oh.
Well, you're going to.
Oh, yeah, you better get it.
you go too. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was talking shit about you behind your back. I swear to God. Anyway, that's what he's doing. So he's gonna, for the enjoyment of his band of assholes, he's got this gladiatorial coliseum thing set up where Apple, Frederick the Arm Wrestler, and 3 or 4 other guys are gonna have to fight this group of horror movie villain knockoffs. You got like a dude with a sack on his head. You got another guy with, he's got like a big cinder block mallet thing he swings around. I think there was a chainsaw in there somewhere. So they're about to start the games when Turbo Kid shows up and he's like, "Hey, I'm a superhero. Let the girl go." And they're like, "Who the fuck is this guy?" "All right, jackass, you want to be a hero? Get your ass into the pool also." So now he's got to fight these guys too. This part was particularly funny because... Frederick the Arm Wrestler is supposed to be our alpha male, and he's like, "Okay, you take the big one, and I'll take the ugly one, and you two take the other one." And Apple just says, "Okay," and then she runs over and kills one of the guys with her stupid gnome baseball bat thing.
Yeah.
And they're like, "God damn, man."
That's our cue.
Okay, I guess we're going to start this fight then. And we get a cool little action sequence, and to make a long story short, this is some very silly... thing, like Apple hits a guy with the gnome bat and like his head spins around like a top on his shoulders. Some other fun little gory things with exploding people. Unfortunately, Turbo Kid's plasma blaster isn't charged, so he can't just blow these guys up. He has to actually pull out his knife and try to fight these guys regular. They win, of course, and they're like, "Okay, we won, you fucker. Let us go." At this point, the only ones left, though, are Apple, Turbo Kid, and Frederick the Arm Wrestler. Zeus is like, "Whoa, that was a pretty good show, but no, we're going to kill you anyway." And he pulls out a gun and shoots Apple. Apple goes down. That's when Turbo Kid's Nintendo glove comes to life, and he blows a hole in the pool, and then they escape. He kind of loses consciousness halfway through the escape, and he wakes up somewhere later. He wakes up, he's on a couch, Apple's there, again, just a random couch out in the middle of nowhere, and Apple's like, "Hey, good morning, sleepyhead, you came and saved me, that was so awesome." He's like, "Yeah, you got shot in the chest, what's going on?" So she pulls her shirt open and you can see there's a bunch of gears and LED lights in there. Apple's a cyborg. Would she say a friendship bot or something like that? She's a friendship bot.
Yes.
And
this was odd.
I think she would be more like a creepy old man friendship bot. Because I could see, creepy old dudes having apples and just banging the living snot out of them, right?
Yeah, and she'd probably be
her
bent
being
over
like,
going, "Yay! Yay!"
This is kind of weird, but okay. I don't know. Apparently in this particular 1997, AI has taken off, and we have friendship bots for lonely young men or women or... whoever else might want to hang out with Apple. Whatever, so she's a cyborg. That sucks. They start walking. They're going back. They're trying to get the fuck out of there now because they know Zeus is going to be after them. So they're like, "Okay, well, we're going to have to find a new place to hang out." So they start walking, and we realize that Apple is actually slowly dying. And we know that she's slowly dying because she has a life meter on her wrist that actually has 8-bit hearts on it. Castlevania style. So she's losing hearts as they go. And she's like, "Yeah, I'm probably going to shut down pretty soon. So, well, it's fine though, whatever." So they're walking. They come across the weird swap meet guy. And they're like, "Hey, man, how do we fix her?" And he's like, "I'm not fucking talking to you. Zeus is looking for you. And he's going to kill your ass when he finds you." Comfort robots, Jim says. Comfort robots, huh, Jim? That makes sense. But she was more like an emotional support robot. For some reason, I don't know if this is true or not, but I have a feeling she wouldn't have a functioning set of genitalia.
No.
You would have to pay extra for that. That's like an upgrade.
Yeah.
I want the asshole and the front hole on that one. Put me down for the asshole package.
Yeah, she's a nothing.
Well, I mean, she's clearly female,
Well,
right?
yeah, but I mean, like down there.
Down
she's
there,
nothing.
probably.
Yeah.
She's probably was designed for like kids that are bullied, because she could fight, obviously. So, like, if I was a bullied young man, I would take Apple to school and have her just kick everybody's ass,
Oh.
and then probably have her jerk me off on the bus or something. Or, I mean, if I'm a 16-year-old and I've got a hot ass kicking pink-haired cyborg, then. Why not? Why not get credit? My parents obviously paid top dollar for it. I got to get their money's worth, is what
Yeah.
I'm telling you.
Yeah,
So-
you got to get your education.
Yeah, that too. I mean, I got to.
You got to learn sometime.
I'm obviously not. All right, this is getting weird. Anyway.
There's nothing down there.
Oh. How does that work exactly? Where do you go pee out of? Anyway. So that's pretty cool. They come across this dude. He's like, "Hey, I'm not talking to you guys." And they're like, "Okay, well," she offers the guy her headband in exchange for information on where they can find parts to fix Apple. That's great.
Uh-huh.
He goes for it because, again, with the weird gay stuff, but he points them to a robot graveyard, which is somewhere off a nearby freeway. Like, okay, we're going to start walking that way. They keep walking. Periodically, Apple just freezes. Like, her eyes go blank, and she just kind of stops because she's losing the life energy hearts, whatever you call those. That goes on for a while. They get to their first romantic campout in which they are burning VHS tapes to stay warm. Very 80s, baby. That's 80s right there. I love it. We get a little romantic scene where they have like this weird green aurora borealis thing going on, and he's going on about his parents. We get another flashback after he falls asleep. Basically, what we're going to find out about this dude is that Zeus killed his parents. He showed up and he was trying to be their friends, and then once they gave him some water, he's like, "That's my water, and you're stealing. You're on my land." I should also mention that Zeus has himself a pretty gnarly sidekick. This dude with a skull mask.
Chrome
He
Skull.
rocked.
He was not Chrome Skull. Chrome Skull was way cooler, I think. I don't know. Who would win in a fight between this guy and Chrome Skull, you think?
This guy.
Probably this guy, right?
This guy?
With the
Yeah.
blades.
No,
He's got-
Chrome
Saw
Skull.
Well, Chrome Skull just has the knife.
Yeah,
Right.
but he was more macho.
He was. Chrome
Yeah.
Skull's a big, scary
This
dude.
guy was just kind of like a gorilla in a suit jumping around.
But he had that fucking blaster with the saw blades. That's
Yeah.
a nasty piece of equipment. His sidekick is this silent dude that wears a skull mask, and he's got like a thing that shoots saw blades out of his wrist. It looks ridiculous, but it works, and it slices and dices pretty good. So, and this guy's an ass kicker too. So he shows up with his sidekick, and he's like, "You're on my land, so you're stealing my water." And then he has his skull face friend kill Turbo Kid's parents. Just before that, though, Turbo Kid's mom blasts Zeus in the eye with a crossbow bolt, which you would think would kill him, right? Well, we're going to find out why it didn't in the end, but that's why Zeus has an eye patch, and he holds a grudge because he knows that their kid got away, and now it's Turbo Kid. So they have this little romantic thing. She starts falling asleep again, and then she throws up on his bike armor when they almost kiss. Very, very romantic. Next morning rolls around, and Skullface shows up at their little campsite, so they have to haul ass out of there. That's the bad news. The good news is that they're not that far away from the robot graveyard, so they can go find the parts to fix Apple. The even worse news, though, is that the robot graveyard is in a like a weird toxic cloud canyon situation. So eventually, Skullface corners him, does like a fucking swipe move on Apple, and cuts her head completely off. Her head goes rolling into the canyon, and Turbo Kid goes down there after it, enveloping himself in this disgusting cloud. He loses consciousness as he's running through the cloud, like falls asleep right in front of Apple's head. And he's like, "Apple, I'm sorry." And she's like, "Oh, it's fine. You were pretty much the best friend I ever had." And then he loses consciousness, and she passes out, or like loses battery or whatever. He gets up shortly thereafter and does like a last-minute football charge with her head. really this robot graveyard is just a pile of mannequins at the end of the canyon, right? So he gets there, he finds the mannequins. In a shrewd move, he just takes her head and duct tapes it onto a different mannequin and then loses consciousness again. More with the flashbacks, then we cut to him waking up, and Frederick the arm wrestler has somehow rescued him. He had a gas mask on him, so I assume that helped. And he's got him on this pretty silly bicycle, like pull cart situation, and he's taking him out of there. And he's like, "Hey, sorry about your lady, mate. She was a hell of a looker, and she, you got her head duct taped on there, but I couldn't do anything for her, eh?" That's my Australian. I've been working on that. I've been listening to a lot of Horror for Dummies, so I think I'm getting better at it. Gets him out of there. He's like, "I'm gonna go see Zeus, and I brought my friend with me." He's got like this. It looked like an oxygen tank, but I guess it was some kind of an explosive missile situation.
Yeah.
So he's like, "I'm gonna park this thing in Zeus's asshole and blow it up." So Turbo Kid, who now no longer has his plasma blaster thing, is like, "Okay, let's do that, I guess." So they're coming around the corner into this big open rock quarry situation, and sure as shit, Zeus is there with all of his cronies. He's got the skull face guy. He's got the hot chick with the mohawk. He's got all of the guys with the pads and the hockey and the football pads.
He's got everybody from the Road Warriors.
The Road
cast.
Warriors, the Mad Max guys. Except everybody was very clean. In the Mad Max movies, everybody looked dirty and stinky and
Well,
filthy.
they were on a budget. The director was like, "Now do not get the costumes dirty."
Don't.
Yeah.
I have to return these by 3 o'clock or I lose my deposit. You understand? In fact, let's just don't
Just
move.
stand there.
That's right.
Yeah, bicycles only.
That's right. Make sure we get those cleaned up before we turn those in too.
Yeah. Walmart's gonna close here. Oh, well, they don't close.
I still have the receipt, so I need to
That's
take them
right.
all back. So sure as shit, they're there. Now we have this standoff with Turbo Kid, Frederick the arm wrestler, and then we have Zeus and all of his cronies in this big. They're gonna have this big gang. Well, it's not really a gang fight. It's like 12 on 2, really. But just before we kick that off, we're cutting back to Apple, who like reactivates her new robot body. She's like, "Oh, this is so great! I got a new body." She gets a bicycle, a ceramic unicorn head, and she finds the plasma blaster and goes hauling ass after Turbo Kid.
Hey, Gene.
Hey, Gene's in the house.
Hi, Gene.
Gene, you join us whenever you feel like, my friend. Anyway, she goes hauling ass towards this big gang fight. We get a lot of monologuing between Zeus and Frederick, and I'm going to kick your ass. And we find out that Zeus is, he starts to remember Turbo Kid. He's like, "Oh, I always wondered what happened to you. I have to repay you for your mom giving me this bad eye and shooting me in the face with a crossbow." And Turbo Kid's like, "I know it was you, so really, we're just stalling here until the fight begins." Eventually, Turbo Kid loses his temper and takes his big knife and goes and stabs a guy. And then Frederick's like, "Yeah, there you go, mate. Now we're ready to start the fight." Frederick, lights a cigarette every 3 minutes, pretty much, right?
Yes.
Like, he's like punching a guy, and then he's like, "Hey, kid." And then he goes back to fighting.
I felt like it was Crocodile.
I think
Yeah.
that was pretty heavy on that. But I think that was like an 80s trope, is that you
Indiana
had to
Jones and Crocodile Dundee.
You
mixed
had-
in
Yeah.
one.
you had to punctuate everything with the lighting of a cigarette.
Yeah.
For the tough guys anyway, which was kind of nostalgic. I enjoyed it. That was pretty dope. A lot of, again, with the unnecessary gore. We got Frederick and the kid getting roughed up a little bit. It's looking for a second like it's going to be curtains for them, and then Apple comes charging down the road with her unicorn bike thing, impales a guy on the unicorn horn. You knew that was going to happen.
Oh yeah.
And then she throws the kid his plasma blaster, which is now fully charged, and he's like, "Yeah!" And he blasts Michael Ironside, Zeus, and Zeus goes flying backwards. Doesn't explode the
Right.
same way everybody else does when they get hit with the blaster. He blasts another guy. We get a kind of a silly thing where like one guy gets blasted in half, but his torso goes up in the air and lands on
That was
another
hilarious.
guy. And then he can't see, so he's like staggering around with this other guy's body on him. And it's pretty silly, but I thought it was funny.
Yeah, maybe Monty Python.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. And it comes down to like Apple, the kid, and Frederick, and it's just Zeus, his hot chick, and his Skullface crony. So Zeus gets back up, and now you can see like half of his face is off, and he's actually a robot too. That's how he survived the crossbow bolt. Like, hey kid, I'm a corporate fucking, what is he? He's like some kind of a corporate manager bot or something like that. And I realized that humans are a waste of time, and robots are superior. So it's a good thing the apocalypse happened because March, and I'm going to do it much more efficiently than any human could. Well, okay then. You're a fucking middle manager. Zeus is what you are. You're a goddamn supervisor, and now you've got a fighting pit in an abandoned swimming pool, you fucking asshole. Anyway. So he's all excited. Now we get the big showdown. What happens? Fucking Turbo Kid, they managed to kill off the two main henchmen, Skullface and the hot chick. And then Turbo Kid blasts the bomb thing that Frederick brought with him, which causes this ridiculous like blood shower thing. Like there's like blood just blowing through the wind. So he grabs an umbrella and he has his first kiss with Apple as the blood. I think it was supposed to be romantic but silly because it's kind of like it's raining, but they're all covered in blood and they have a kiss. It's very, very nice.
Is it?
It's kind of romantic, I thought, in a weird way. What do you think, Monica? No?
Yeah, it was fantastic.
Blood,
Childish.
blood rain, first kiss under an umbrella. It's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. So that happens. Unfortunately, Apple was mortally wounded in the explosion. Zeus, of course, gets back up again. Or was it... I think it was the Skullhead guy, wasn't it? Because he stabs him with the umbrella, then the explosion, then he opens, then the kiss, and then afterwards, Apple goes down, and then they have their final kiss because now she's had way too much internal damage. So she's like, oh, I'm gonna go this time. You can't fix me this time. There's too much damage. You're pretty good, Turbo Kid. And then she shuts down, and he's like, no. And then the last scene is him after he buries Apple and puts her gnome stick as the grave marker, and then him walking off. And that's pretty much the end of your movie. You get a little weepy?
Yeah, that was sad.
It was very sad.
Why couldn't he just put her on another body?
I'm sure you could fix her if you wanted to put the effort into it, sir. I mean, apparently heads are interchangeable on these things, so what you could do is take her head, put it on Zeus's body. It's not going to be nearly as much fun or attractive. It's probably going to be more weird than anything.
No, you could have put it on the Mohawk chick's body.
That's a body that I'm interested in because she looked pretty good, and she had the body armor with the breasts in it, which I think is a nice touch.
He's going to be all alone.
He'll find another friendship bot. Apparently they have those, or piece one together somehow. What did you guys think of Turbo Kid?
I liked it.
I loved it. Monica did not like it.
It was okay for me.
It's not. I wouldn't really call it a horror movie per se. It's definitely gory, but the gore is over the top ridiculous.
This would be sci-fi for me.
A sci-fi comedy, I would say. Good show. Very 80s, very nostalgic.
Yes.
Have you guys ever seen a absolutely ridiculous movie called Steel Dawn with Patrick Swayze? It was a cheap American knockoff of Mad Max.
Oh, no.
It was pretty fucking dumb. But it reminded me of this.
Okay.
You probably have seen it at one. It's completely immemorable. It's really bad. Like all the villains had like the super teased hair.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
Huh.
They all look like a lot of them had like the Motley Crue makeup with the blush and the guy liner and the full lipstick.
Oh, wow.
Kind of made you feel like you were gay for a second because you think I could probably bang Tommy Lee.
Oh, I'm going to have to look this up.
Right?
It's beautiful. All right, inmates. It's Turbo Kid. It got 6.7 stars. I thought it was a good show. It's very 80s. It's from the same director who did Summer of '84, which is another 80s nostalgia piece.
Oh, okay. Okay.
I think you'll like it. I wouldn't call it a horror film, but it is still a pretty good movie. Especially for people like us that grew up in the 80s, very nostalgic. Check it. I think it's on Netflix right now.
Yeah, you could let your kids watch this for
You could,
sure.
yeah, you could totally. They could totally watch. So I had my mother-in-law watch it with me. She really enjoyed it.
It was on Netflix, but I went and looked it up last night and it wasn't.
God damn it!
I know.
Oh.
All right,
But originally I saw it on Netflix.
it was there at one point.
Yeah.
You could probably on Hulu or something now. All right, inmates, we're gonna take us a little break. We'll come back with some other stuff.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. See you guys later.
All right, guys. Any questions or comments or concerns or anything? Who's this here? Gene's movie reviews. Okay. Gene's still in the house. We'll take an extra minute or two just in case. I'm wearing my Hellraiser tie. What do you think of that? Gift from my mother-in-law.
Oh, I'm wearing that sweater that shrunk.
Oh, this is the one that shrank?
Yeah, this is.
Oh,
the...
no.
Yeah, look at it. Look how cool it could have been.
That would have been dope.
And then look at the back too.
What is that? Some kind of a demon?
Yeah.
Card? Oh, you're playing cards with the demon.
Yeah.
And you've got aces and eights.
What a shitty company.
It doesn't look bad, though.
No.
It doesn't
What?
look...
It's...
I mean, it's not... Normally, she wears super baggy. Oh,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
the
oh,
sleeve.
that threw me off. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, the sleeve has gotten shorter.
Dude, cut the sleeves off.
No.
Cut the sleeves off, right?
No.
Make-
I'm not from. Well, I am from the '80s, but I'm not gonna walk around like.
Cut the
Patrick
sleeves off.
Swayze.
Oh, look great. Yeah.
Outsiders.
Yeah. Dude, start doing some curls. Boom. You'll fit right in with the Steel Dawn. I'm telling you. That's what that whole movie was about. Ridiculous. All right, inmates. I think that'll do us for the week then. If anybody else has anything to say, as usual, the regular podcast will be up later tonight. What are we doing next week? Any idea? You pick a movie.
Yeah,
It's your
you
turn.
haven't had
Oh.
a turn.
Horror comedy.
Or a comedy.
What do you want to do?
I'll let you know at the end.
All right.
Oh,
Yeah.
we have to wait.
He's not good under pressure, so you got to give him a few minutes with that.
Okay.
All right, inmates. We will thank you again for joining us. We'll see you next week.
Okay. Bye bye.